G'day guys, welcome to episode 7, the next installment on my 79 series build. On this episode we're going to be pulling my motor and box apart, getting it all fitted in the ute, make sure we're happy with how it sits and everything, before it ends up being in its forever home. So let's get stuck straight into it. G'day guys, as you can see, not much has happened in the last 2 weeks. I was supposed to have this motor and automatic transmission back in, but it's still sitting on the ground. Now, if in the last video you might have saw me looking at my transmission as I was putting it up on the shelf up there, it was leaking out automatic transmission fluid, which I never really noticed. I thought, as I tilted it forward, I thought it might have been coming out of where the cooler lines go, but in fact, pan was damaged. It's obviously been in an accident, and the pan was totally dry, apart from a little bit that was sitting in it. When I've tilted it forward, it started coming back out the hole. There's a big hole in there. I was modifying this. I was going to fix it all and put it back on, but it was cheaper and easier just to buy a new deep pan with a new filter, so I fitted all that up. I went out and bought a brand new HZJ79 cross member mount, because that's what I was told it would fit straight on, but as you can see, we are not even close there, and the profile's totally wrong as well. So I've emailed Mark's Adapters. I've rang them about 6 or 7 times, left them voicemail messages, and no response. I can only assume, because I was told this was for a 60 series Land Cruiser, that I'm going to need a 60 series cross member mount. So I've ordered a new one. We'll wait till that turns up to see, make sure that fits. Now, the 60 series cross members mounts are totally different to the 79 series ones. I'll put a photo up to show you the difference between the two, but basically the stud for the mounting onto the cross member is further apart, and then the whole thing is wider. Drill 2 new holes, hopefully that all works. Once that's all done, we can bolt that back up to the auto and hopefully put it in the car. And then next job will be to lower this in, bolt it back up to the transmission, and it should show me where my new engine mounts are going to be. We've got 2 new plates up here, the driver's passenger side, and I've mounted the mounts to the motor, so they're right to go. We'll lower that in, and it will govern where the motor sits in the engine bay. So once you tack all those plates in, the motor comes back out, and then you can fully weld in those 2 mounts after that. My Mark's adapter stuff turned up, new compressor, brackets for relocation, stuff like that, and also a new modified sump there. So it's got a rear hump on it, and it's also been modified underneath. It's been cut off, so that will be ready to drop in hopefully next week when my 60 series mount turns up. Anyway, these things happen, you just deal with them. If you got to modify it, you got to modify it. There's nothing easy about just chucking an LS2 LS2 into a HZJ70 ute, that's for sure. Anyway, next video will be us throwing that in. So let's get stuck into it. Alright guys, let me just turn this off for a sec. Alright guys, so I've just cut the engine mounts off, cleaned up all the rails, ready to weld in my new engine mounts. I've got them over here. So I've got to tidy these all up. They're covered in obviously some kind of anti-rusting for transportation, so I'll clean all them up. And then I've got to drill a new hole. So I ended up getting a 60 series mount on Friday. Bolts up to the adapter pretty good, but as you can see, the stud's a bit further across. So I've marked that and gave it a bit of a knock so I can start drilling that. On the bottom side, that one doesn't matter. This side, I'm just going to notch it out a little bit more. It should be alright. I mean, a bit over engineered anyway. It's not going to bend, it's not going to do anything stupid. Once that's all done, I'll bolt my mount up to the cross member, and then I'll bolt it up to my automatic transmission. Once all that's done, I'll move the ute over to the hoist and go up, and I'll put my automatic transmission straight on top of my jack there. We'll bolt all that in, then we'll be able to drop the motor in. I'll string up the front of the automatic transmission, and I should be able to drop my motor in, just bolt it up, and then that should govern where my mounts sit, hopefully. Once it's in, we'll have a bit of a look at it, make sure it's all going to work, make sure I'm happy with how far forward back it is, make sure it's not hitting on anything. Once all that's done, I'll take the motor back out, fully weld up the two engine mounts, and then I'll put all my accessories on the front of the motor. We've got aircon and alternator brackets there. I'll put my sump on, and then it's ready to bolt back in the car and stay there for as long as it needs to. We can do all the wiring while it's in the car. I've got to fabricate a new airbox, a new intake, got to fabricate headers, got to fabricate exhaust. So there's a fair bit to do once the motor's back in. But still got to plumb all the fuel, sort all that out. So let's get that done today. Hopefully, I want to have the motor sitting in there at least by the end of the weekend. We got down here pretty early, me and Bane. He's just gone for a drive off in his pickup to a car show at Lakes Beach. So once he's back, he's going to give me a hand to start dropping this in. So let's get stuck into it. Righto, so got that hole drilled, fits in perfect. And just open up the side, other side a little bit, just to get socket onto it. The transfer guard will cover most of that. I haven't really weakened it. It's still on the second bit of plate on the inside there, so it's right to go. I'm going to bolt that up to the transmission first, and then we'll move the car over, get set up all ready, get the ute on the hoist up in the air, and then we'll sit it on top of the jack and get it up in there. Got the auto on the stand, ready to go in.
Guys,
Should go in alright, eh?
I think we're right there. It's level.
Yeah. Get it in there and see how it fits. Got a strap over it, she's ready to go. Righto, auto is in. Had a few problems hitting up the top up there. We managed to bash it out, didn't we?
Slight little massage.
But it's all in. Right, take some tail shaft measurements, make sure they haven't changed too much before we get too carried away, but
The 60 series gearbox mount worked a treat.
didn't it? Finally. Mark's never got back to me about it either.
Ah, well. We'll let them know.
Anyway, sitting in there nice and pretty. Let's bring it down now and start getting the motor in. Righto, motor's in. Look at our apparatus we've got going on here.
There's some engineering involved in that.
Yeah, in there. Motor's sitting in there pretty good. I had to take the headers off because it definitely would not go in with the headers on. But what do? It's nice and tight down this side, isn't it?
Come forwards, with turbo on the front here.
Plenty of room up the front.
You don't need radiators and all that sort of stuff in there.
In there and go straight back into the throttle body. Fucking plenty of room at the back of the motor too. Oh well, we'll weld it in now and see if it can sit under its own weight. Alright guys, she's all in. I'm pretty happy with how it went in. We've still got a fair bit of wiring to sort out as well as extractors, intake, all that kind of stuff before it's running. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare down this side just because it's so tight. I'm probably going to have to get rid of that battery tray and just use my rear one. I'll have another battery in the back anyway as well. I'd like to thank Bano and Justin for giving us a hand, chuck it in. If they weren't here, it would have been an absolute mission to get it in. It's Bano's birthday this week, so happy birthday, Bano. So, next episode is we're going to get it back out. We're going to fit all accessories, fit the sump, put the converter and ring gear back on. Then that can go back in and stay in there. We can sort out everything else while it's in there, hopefully. If not, I might need to just lift it up and just so I can get some extractors or something down that side. But apart from that, that's it for this episode. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.